logic medium. Kim explained the system. Can I read these case files now? Boom. Yes, you can piece them together using the alphanumeric code on the margin. It always begins with HDB41, then date of initialization and time of arrival on the scene, followed by the title. For example, HDB4112011700, the next world mural. So, weren't those officer precincts? So I'm obviously... What's this date? So that's the time. We know we're 51. There's no 51 here. Alright, wait. HDB 41? Weren't those officer precinct? Why yes, your precinct number is 41. And HDB? Every last alphanumeric in the files begins with it. And these are your case files. It's safe to say HDB are your initials. Wow, I don't know what to say there. I've got nothing here either. Logic really isn't the best faculty to have this conversation with, but it's the only one you got, so sorry. How long does it take to read a case? It takes about half an hour to piece one together using the system you've devised. Where do you want to start? Let's go the unsolvable case. AKA Leslie and Burke, aka the public indecency drunk and the property damage drunk, is a cursed case. It has been passed on from unsuspecting officer to unsuspecting officer for 10 years. On January 29th, the unsolvable case made its way to you. Why you accepted it is unclear. Every officer, and indeed most civilians in Jamrock, know it's unsolvable. Leslie will always take his pants off when he's drunk. Burke will always trash everything. It's just what they do. It's in their nature. It is their nature. You cannot change the nature of a man, and you cannot lock them away because public indecency and small-scale property damage are not punishable by incarceration. The only way for Leslie to stop flashing his genitals to bypasses and for Burke to stop dismantling signage and rearview mirrors would be for them to stop drinking alcohol, which in their 40s or 50s, it's hard to tell because of their distorted features, is a medical improbability on par with you ceasing to produce the expression. Yup. Couldn't we just keep them off the streets? You would think that, but you're wrong. Where's the fun in exposing your genitals or breaking stuff in your own home? No, Leslie and Burke are on the corner of Main Street and Perdition because that's where the action is. Can you keep yourself off the streets? Proceed. Threatening, fines, dragging them to the station, locking them up in the hellholes they live in, locking them up in the station, hypnotherapy, even trying to get a local gang of Zemuyakis to take them out. The Zemuyakis gave them ethanol so Burke and Leslie would expose and rampage even harder. You tried it all, and still the complaints wouldn't stop, as they hadn't stopped for 10 years. Plain to see from the files that you, Satellite Officer JV, and Special Consultant TH had more important cases to attend to. You uncover cross-reference to several ongoing investigations, each brought to a standstill every time you drive down Main Street, because there they are on the corner of Perdition, and what is Leslie doing? I've forgotten which one goes with which. Property damage. No, that's Burke. Leslie's stick is flashing his genitals, remember? How would you ever solve the unsolvable case if you can't even get that straight? Well, turns out it's pretty simple. The case becomes considerably less comic one day when Burke takes a swing at your ledger. He must have confused it with the property he likes to damage, but the joke's on him. You're also drunk out of your mind on potent Pilsner. You slam the hardened plastic board in his face, then proceed to beat him unconscious with it. In the process, the ledger sustains damage. The compartment within, reserved for permeable documents, is jammed shut. You stop your assault on the now unconscious Burke to open it, but are unable to do so. The officer began to cry, reports Leslie, who at this point is tending to Burke. He came at us, and at us, I think he was trying to kill Burko. While trying to kill Burko, you slowly come around. The permeables compartment is open. You've smashed it open on poor Burko's kneecaps. The good news is Burke can't walk anymore. Can't get out of his apartment, an invalid. With Burke to tend to, Leslie cuts back on the indecent exposure. Maybe he flashes his genital to Burke, who knows, but both drunks are off the street. The complaints stop, the unsolvable case is solved. Which is also why the officer responsible narrowly escapes a disciplinary hearing. The end. Do you want to read another one? I guess I do. The Next World Mural. This one is relatively easy to reconstruct. Overnight on 12th of the 2nd, a graffito, nay a mural, appears on an 8-story tenement overlooking central Jamrock. The building is a sparsely inhabited ghost tower, part of a failed real estate development called Grand Curon. Cause of failure, rent too high. The mural is enormous. 2 silhouettes, a man and a woman, are kissing. The text cut into their form reads, "True love is possible only in the next world for new people. It's too late for us. Wreak havoc on the middle class." People call it that thing and that fucking thing. It's visible for miles. In 2 days, the station's complaints desk gets clogged with requests to remove the bummer. You and your partner are assigned to the case. The graffito crew is easy to track down. Only the belles lettres have the litterage of the literage of industrial paint to cover the surface. One of the graffito artists is rumored to be rich. They take responsibility for the execution, but not the design. The ideologue of the Next World mural, as the crew calls it, remains an unknown. Wait, do I ever find out who came up with it? The case files do not show you finding the author of the design. Read on. The crew agrees to clean up after themselves. However, your partner JV is against the removal, citing public support for conservation. This leads to a debate in Precinct 41, which then spreads to the streets of Dramrock, ending in a rare plebiscite organised by you and the rest of Row 3. The 9,000 people subjected to the mural's message, all of Lakeside, Central Jamrock, and Villa Lobos, plus half of the eminent domain, participate in the vote. Although the case begins with what appears to be a lot of rumbling on the streets as to how juvenile and stupid the mural is, given a choice between two options: A. Remove the mural, it is wrong, and B. Keep the mural, it is right. B. A staggering 78% of voters choose to keep it. Turns out the opposition were a loud minority, and that love truly is possible in the next world for new people, and it is too late for us. All that remains is to wreak havoc on the middle class. In any case, it appears to have been a rare case of civil activity in the quarter, an agreement as well. What do you want to tackle? What happened here? We have Hobocop. What did Hobocop give? I can't go to solution. Maybe while I'm still in this I can't. Fair enough. The square bullet hole murders. It would be very interesting to read about these, wouldn't it? I mean, there seems to be a square-shaped entry room in the victim's forehead. She's been sitting there for weeks on her rocking chair with a square hole in her skull staring at the wall, her mouth agape. But that's all you've got. From the half hour you've spent piecing it together, all you know is the entry wound was square-shaped. You've never found the bullet, and then another body showed up, also with a square hole in his forehead. A sequence killer? Who knows, those pages are missing. What's next? A couch in an unexpected location. Some assholes brought their couch outside and hung out on it, in the middle of the street, on the roof, on the hillside by the motorway. You know, at an unexpected location. They were young and they thought they looked cool on it. They actually looked like assholes. Insufferable dicks, young people are the worst. So anyway, you gotta complain about the damn sofa, or couch, or whatever it was. They were leaving it out in all these unexpected and whimsical locations they took it to, where they also took photos of themselves on it, and smoked cigarettes, and drank coffee, because they felt it's intellectual. Cigarette butts, coffee cups, stupid couch. You had to clean it all up, and you did. So congratulations to you, case solved. Did I ever catch those guys? No, you didn't have time for that. These notes show that you have what is called a real goddamn job. You don't have time to be chasing down the couch assholes. You have a real job to do. What next? Murder at the hookah parlor. Murder, at the hookah parlor was a case originally assigned to an officer called Joseph Mills, who is now dead, of circumstances completely unconnected to murder at the hookah parlor. Wait, how? Beaten to death by a throng of Villa Lobos gang members when him and his partner, JM, only initials mentioned, answered a call one night. It's a sad story and it isn't really represented in your case files. Stop stalling and get to murder at the hookah parlor. Right, on with the murder. Joseph Mills was on this case that he just couldn't solve. Was doing it solo. Said it was a real nutcracker, a real brain twister. Was on it for like a month. The captain got impatient. Shit or get off the pot, Mills. Mills didn't get off the pot, not yet. He kept at it for a couple of weeks more, racking his brains, running with every theory, as outlandish as they seem. Still couldn't solve the murder at the hookah parlor. Tough case, he said. Toughest he's ever had. Wait, was Joseph Mills a good cop? No, he was awful. Awful sense of humour too. The worst jokes you've ever heard. Really rapey. Still, he'd been on it for months now. Said it was the final case. Said it was uncrackable. That the murderer vanished into thin air. That goddamn hookah parlor was all he talked about. Go on. Okay, so the case is handed to you because Mills isn't getting anywhere, and you look into it. Here's the setup. A young man is found dead in a hookah parlor. You know, those places where you go and smoke bubblegum flavoured vapour all day. Can you get high off it? No, it's soot and water vapor. It doesn't do anything. Really stupid. Yeah, so anyway, young man in his 20s found with his skull busted open right on the floor of the hookah parlor in the middle of the day. No one else is in there. Only client for that day. Perfect health too. Some kind of movie producer. No one enters, no one exits. He's just sucking on his watermelon hookah all morning. All noon, like he usually does. He's a regular. No calls, nothing. Just sucking on the hookah until 15:45. Then bam, he's dead on the floor with his skull busted open, blood everywhere. What happened? How can it be? Mills has no idea. Invisible assassin. Movie deal gone sour. Girl at the counter did it. Nothing fits. Eerie. Man just dropped dead. So you go to the parlor, you see cushions around the table. Table's low, heavy, really sharp edge. He sucked hookah, stood up, passed out, hit his head on the table, and died? See, you can't even read the thing without solving it. Yeah, it was that. Turns out hookah does do something. It turns off your brain's oxygen supply and you don't notice it until you get up to go to the bathroom. He must have sucked a lot of it. Yeah, he liked his hookah. Stephen was his name. And what was he doing there for 6 hours? Smoking hookah. Didn't you hear? I don't know, trying to come up with a movie script maybe. Anyway, that was Murder at the Hookah Parlour. Joseph Mills wasn't a good detective and about 30 minutes has passed piecing it together. Next, I can revisit this.